Welcome back to Chillout with Mercadhis show. I went to a contact center and took a photo, and when I took that photo, I posted it on social media. One of my mom's friends, I think, saw my photo. His name was Steve. And when Steve called me, I didn't pick his call because I didn't want him to see me in the state we were in at that point. When I got the job at contact center, we used to earn 12,000 bob before tax. After tax, and if you don't meet your hours, you would take home 7,000, 8,000. Then he texts me and tells me, please pick my call. So I pick his call and he tells me that, do you work for a contact center? I said, yes, I work for a contact center. Can I bet you, who are you? Then I lied, I'm the manager there. But then he tells me, I need your brains on something. Please, could we meet? So I say, okay, fine, let's meet. So we met. So I told them, let's open a contact center. So they asked me, do you have the capacity to open a contact center? I said, yes, I'm the manager where I am. So all this time, I only have 2 weeks experience in a contact center. I don't even know the lingo of contact center. Where was my breakthrough? I think there are two things I always tell people to stop rubbing off. And the first thing is the fact that God will never miss in my story. Yeah? So, ni God manze. Like God constantly has to be in my story. And number two is the fact that you can literally start something out of nothing. Yeah? So for me, that is those are two things that can never miss in my story. But then you can never have faith with no works. So yes, you have to work. And I remember my first job, I got a job in a restaurant in CBD where I used to work and earn 3,000 bob. Now imagine my first salary iliibiwa OTC, walikata kibeti yangu na wakachukua do yangu yote. And that time, vile nilipata salo, I had told my siblings, leo nikipata salo, because it was my first ever salary. Naenda kwa baya kukusama. So I went to town, I bought chicken, like a whole chicken. Those days it was about 320 bob or something to buy a whole chicken. So nimebeba kuku na unajua vile how chicken smells in a mate, and we still live huko 1960, Kayole. So nimebeba kuku, lakini ile katika hali ya kungangania mat, someone actually cut my handbag. Do you know I don't carry handbags to date because of that incident? Like, I don't carry handbags. I am a woman who rarely will carry a handbag. They cut my handbag na wakachukua ile balance ya do nilikuwa nayo. So nimepanda mat, hakuna fare. Concordia likula kuku yangu. And I got so hurt about it. So, yeah, let me tell you, life siya mama yako, by the way. So, the conductor told me that nyinyi wasichana tunawajua. Mmebai kuku, mmetoka kubaiwa kuku, unakuja kwa mat bila fare, na unatuambia hauna fare. And for real, my handbag had been cut, and all the salary I got, my first salary was stolen, and it disappeared. So I got home, I was very disappointed. I didn't have the chicken, neither did I have money. And I had a whole 30 days again to go to work. We never used to have holidays because we never used to have weekends because I worked in a restaurant. So we kept working and working. So after that job, we moved to Kibera from Kayole. And when we moved to Kibera, my uncle moved us to Kibera, my mom's brother. When we moved to Kibera, then there used to be a church on Gong Road. That's about the time that Nairobi Chapel was splitting and setting other campuses around. So the church was set in Impala Club, and I used to go there and we used to ask for jobs. Like, is there anything we can do? Can I clean the seats? Can I do what? And eventually when an opportunity came up when they were looking for staff to hire, of course, because I used to volunteer in church, I got an opportunity to work with church. And I worked, and in the same, around the same time is when I got to Nairobi Chapel about in 2006. And then I got married in 2007, and in our honeymoon, my ex-husband got a job as well with an NGO, and life started being okay. We did our jobs, but when I got my daughter, I used to have a lot of house girl issues. Mara ameacha mtoi ameenda, mara mtoto alianguka, mara. So I decided to quit work to stay home with my daughter and my son. My son had just started going to kindergarten. So we stayed home. I stayed home, and then there was no income. So I remembered when I was in Nairobi Chapel, there was a lady who was opening, she was an auditor, but she was opening her own farm of bringing backpackers into the country. And she really wanted these backpackers to live with Kenyan families. And she asked me, she wants to do a trial, but she's not getting a family that can accept to live with a guest. And around that time, we had a vision with my ex-husband to start up an NGO. So we used to write proposals, we randomly send them, but hakuna breakthrough. No one is answering us back. Nothing is coming through. But we set up the NGO anyway. So we didn't have money and we needed to raise 100,000. So one night we sat down and wrote names of 100 people who can give us 1,000 shillings each. And when we did that, we started going to those people. Lakini unajua sasa hauwezi raise do. Una raise leo, kama mlipata 2K, kesho ndo mnatumia fare kwenda kutafuta tena zile zingine. So the cycle went on and on. Eventually we were able to raise about 60 Gs. We registered the organization, and my friend brought the first guest to our house. So this guest, her name was Soraya. She was such a lovely girl, but she was a student in Geneva. So she came and she found us living in Kibera. She lived with us in Kibera. We used to walk with her in the ghetto. We used to orient her about living in Nairobi. And she asked us, what do you guys really do? And we explained about the NGO. And she went back home and talked to the dad, and the dad came to Nairobi to see us and to get the proposal. So when they went back with the proposal, they tried to fundraise on behalf of the organization, and that's how the organization grew. And we were able to transform the lives of the youth in Kibera. So I would say that was the point where we slowly started having a turn back from the past life of hustling and wherever. While in Kibera, Goldman Foundation in 2010 started. Of course, it's not my effort alone. It was the effort of so many other people, including my ex-husband. It was his vision. So I was coming in to support as his wife. And we started Goldman's Foundation. We had many projects, and the vision of Goldman's Foundation was to impact the lives of the young people through empowerment. So we created programs that would impact the young people and empower them. So we had the arts, where we would do the beadwork and everything and send them abroad in the US, and we would sell those pieces and get the money back home. Then we had the acrobats and drama. And we would do drama for government events. We would do drama for community events within the community. We would do drama to educate the community on HIV and AIDS, whatever vices that the community was struggling on like drugs and everything. Then we had a project called School of Wisdom that was purely a personal development program, where despite the fact that you are plugged into these other talented programs, you still have to come to School of Wisdom so that you learn how to manage yourself as a young person. Then we had the studio Goldman's Production. And in Goldman's Production, we used to produce music. We produced music for big artists in this country. And we used to have a number of these big artists coming, because the reason for us to set Goldman's was to empower young people. So our studio was totally free. As long as you had content, you would record music for free. So we employed a producer, but the challenge was producing music if you're not a producer yourself is a very big challenge, because again we worked with young people. Mara leo producer amekam, kesho hajakuja, mara amebeba job ya studio yenyu ameenda sijui kufanya kwa studio gani. It was always something after the other. And we also used to record live music. These two musics that like cows do, 2 minutes you've recorded, the 5th minute it's on radio. Those music, we used to do live recording, because we used to have like recording, a space for live recording music. So there's instruments, you come with your instrumentalists, and your vocalist, and you do your shoot, you edit hapo na unatoka. And all these were free because they were sponsored. They were sponsored programs. So someone abroad has paid for you to be able to record music for free. A lot of these people who used to do jokes, kwa Churchill show, used to come there because it used to be a place where any young people was invited, and you'd come and test your jokes, uone kama watu watacheka, and then unaenda auditions, unajua, and people got platforms. You know, the foundation was a success, and it was a good thing because it was something that God gave to my ex-husband. But then we struggled a lot in our marriage during that time. Nafikiri maybe saa zingine tu do ikikam, mnakuwaga tu na indifferences. Maybe hamsikizani hapa, hamsikizani pale. And then we did it for a number of years before we decided to split. I stepped down as a director in the organization, and there was a lot that was happening that couldn't allow the organization to go on, and that was how Goldman's foundation was closed. Sometimes unapataga when God blesses you, that blessing becomes a problem to you again if you don't know how to manage. And I think we were young when these things were working. First, when we started, we didn't know it would work as good as it did. And then doi ikaanza kukam, we are buying cars, we are living in a good house, nini, yada yada. Unapata, now you start growing a big head. You start feeling like you have money. You start feeling like you have options and everything. So we had a lot of those struggles in our marriage. And one other reason was because we got married very, very young. So by the time tunafika hii age, tushaanza kuchoshana. Unajua, mshaanza kuchoka, you don't know how to handle things and everything. We decided to part ways with my ex-husband, like almost 3 years ago. And after that, for the first year, I didn't go to church. Actually, for like 1.5 years. Because I was so angry. My ex-husband was a pastor, and he comes from a family where his mom is a pastor as well. And even with the challenges we had as Christians, you are always told to pray. Pray, pray, pray. Pray, pray, pray. I don't dispute the power of prayer. But then sometimes we need to look beyond prayer and say, what is it that's happening between these two people that is unhealthy, that is causing them to have serious mental health issues, and how can we help them resolve in a healthy way? So we went to so many churches. I tried to talk to so many pastors. I used to give up because I felt like they feel like I don't pray enough, you know. So, and I used to ask, I think one time when my mother-in-law had come, I asked her, kwani hii nyumba yangu ndo shetani ameamua kuishi? Because it was always, it's the devil, it's the devil, it's the devil. I wouldn't say I'm the best of people, but I have my own share of contribution to the breaking of my marriage. But then I used to feel like you guys are not getting it. And that is something I would really want people to really come out and talk about. That the church has failed people and has failed marriages because of constantly refusing to see the practical things that are happening in marriage and just blinding it off with just pray. Let's pray, let's pray, let's pray. And then you pray, and it's not working, and you get tired, and you leave, and then they're asking you, why did you leave? Divorce is bad. Divorce, God hates divorce. I don't dispute it. Do you know why God hates divorce? From my point of view, God hates divorce because of what it does to you as his child. If, for instance, you have a baby or a child, and they are going through so much pain because of something, it hurts you as the parent. And that's why God hates divorce. God hates divorce because it hurts him, because we are all his children. And it hurts him when you're going through that because you're going through pain. And you're his child, and he's not feeling good about it. And that's why he hates it. But he doesn't say stay in that marriage, even if you have to die. So we used to fight a lot. I wouldn't hide it. We used to fight a lot. We would fight for nothing. We would fight for everything. We would fight for whatever reason, you know. So one day we had a very bad argument with the dad, and the kids were in the house. So they woke up in the middle of the night, and they came to our room, and they were so devastated. They couldn't talk, but they kept quiet. And after the dad left the house, my daughter came to my room and asked, "Can I sleep with you?" And I said, "Why? You have your bed." And she said, "No, I want to sleep with you so that I'm just sure that you are okay." I said, "Okay." I think my daughter was 14 then. And I said, "Okay, please come, let's sleep." So she comes and cuddles me. And she says, "You know, Mom, I know that parents can die for their children, but we want you to live for us. And the only way you will live for us is if you leave your marriage. And I know it's going to be hard, because for me, I came from a dysfunctional family. And all I wanted was, family was a value very close to me. All I wanted was to provide a dad, to have a father for my kids constantly in their lives. Whatever the state we are in a much peaceful state, co-parenting, than when we were together. I used to tell my ex, "You're an amazing, amazing dad, but a horrible husband." So for me, he loves his kids. He's an amazing dad. Like, he will give them attention. He will do anything within his power to make sure that his kids have his attention. But then also their relationship was getting strained because of our relationship as the parents were getting strained with our kids because of the nature of the relationship we had together. And we had to make a decision that for the sake of these children, then we have to split ways, you know. And that's why we made the decision to split ways, yeah, to separate. So my kids, yes, we co-parent. They talk to their dad, and they live with me. Now they're abroad in school. But yeah, by the grace of God, they've been able to grow. And I pray that they will be able to be responsible individuals and adults, even when they are required to. I know there's so much that have happened while them growing up, but then we choose to look at them positively and see how best they can learn from. We all can learn from it. And so we had a lot of indifferences, and I stepped down as a director, and I started a business. And my business was auctioned because of a loan we had taken. And when it was auctioned, then we went back to zero. Because now, after I stepped down from the NGO, there's the bit that didn't go so well, and the funder stopped funding the NGO and everything. So it went down. And we went down from living in a good house, our kids going to a good school, down to going to Feather and living in a single room. So I went to Feather, I picked my kids, we went to Feather, we got auctioned everything. We went to Feather and we started all over again in a single room. So my kids, there's a year, my kids didn't go to school the whole year. That should be in the year 2015. Yeah. So they stayed home, and we used to tell them, I used to tell them, I want you to know that you will go to an international school. After this, you're going to go to an international school. After this, there is no school you would want to go that we would not be able to take you. And I just need you to be prayerful. And my kids would sit home, and I would tell them, msitoke nje, mkitoka nje jirani atajua mjaenda shule, and then they can tell on us, and then we get arrested. So they used to just stay home. Then we found these shoddy schools kwa mtaa that we can take them in, but then they would go, those schools where it's one class that has maybe two classes in it. I used to get so frustrated. I think at that point again, sometimes we would lack food. Like, I would go to a supermarket that was somewhere there in Feather, and I would literally steal noodles for my kids to eat because there was nothing. Like, your friends, your family. My mom was there for us. I used to sometimes carry my kids and we go to my mother, and they have a meal and we come back. But I used to tell God, I really need to get out of this. It's a mindset. It is never a money problem. It's always a mindset problem. And I got a job somewhere on Gong Road in a contact center. And I love taking photos. By now, everyone who knows Mercadhis, I am always posting photos of myself because I love myself, not because of anything else. So I went to a contact center and took a photo. And when I took that photo, I posted it on social media. Now, when I posted that photo on social media, one of my mom's friends, I think, saw my photo. His name was Steve. And when Steve called me, I didn't pick his call because I didn't want him to see me in the state we were in at that point. So he kept calling me, I'm not picking. He calls me, I'm not picking. Then he texts me and tells me, please pick my call. And I pick. When I got the job at contact center, we used to earn 12,000 bob before tax. After tax, and if you don't meet your hours, you would take home 7,000, 8,000, you know, whatever amount that would be left for you. So the house I used to live in Feather used to be 6K for a single room. But then I am earning 7K. So I still can't manage giving my kids food. Also, the training happened at night. So in the day, I would be at home with my kids, but at night I would leave them sleeping. Then I go to work, and then I come back in the morning when they're still asleep. I did that for a few weeks. It wasn't even a month. So when I posted that photo on social media, Steve calls me and tells me, I don't pick. He calls me again, I don't pick. And then he texts me and tells me, please pick my call, it's urgent. So I pick his call, and he tells me that, do you work for a contact center? I said, yes, I work for a contact center. Can I bet you, who are you? Then I lied, I'm the manager there. Because I really couldn't tell him I was a contact center agent. But then he tells me, I need your brains on something. Please, could we meet? So I say, okay, fine, let's meet. So we met. When we met, he told me the government is going to run a free laptop to schools, primary schools, the laptop project that the government was running. And I need your brains in this. So we are going to deploy young people in every school so that these young people, because they are tech savvy, can support the teachers to do to correct the devices in case they're experiencing challenges. So I asked them, why would you want to have young people in every school? And the thing is, if these young people are in school, what if they are sick? What will happen? So I told them, let's open a contact center. So they asked me, do you have the capacity to open a contact center? I said, yes, I'm the manager where I am. So all this time, I only have 2 weeks experience in a contact center. I don't even know the lingo of contact center. I promise you, every night, I would stay on YouTube trying to learn what contact centers are all about. The beautiful thing about my kids, we started talking about sex when they are 6. We would tell them sex is for mummies and daddies, and then they are older and older. And I asked, so guys, so what's the right time to have sex? What is sex? And my daughter would go, you know, conjugal, whatever. And I was like, don't tell me what science is saying. Tell me what you understand sex is, and what is the right time to have sex.